Welcome. Uh, Communication skills are among like the most important skills that you need for your career because we have ideas and we need to learn how to effectively communicate these ideas. So we learned it before about written communication, we learned it about visual communication. In this lesson, we will learn about one of the most important communication means, which is oral communication through giving like a presentation. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, so this is just an introduction to this module. This video is an introduction to this module. So by the end of this lesson, what I will do in this lesson, I'll be giving a mock presentation, and then I want to get your feedback on this mock presentation. And also, I want you to provide a formal assessment for this mock presentation using a formal rubric. And that would be also a good practice for you to prepare for your presentation, because in your presentation, the same rubric will be used. So that will also guide you on how to prepare your presentation. Uh, Depending, of course, if you are watching this for a class that requires you to deliver a final presentation or not. Yeah. So you need to check this on Canvas. Uh, but also by the end of this video, you should be able to describe like what is the secret of a successful research presentation, and not research presentation. See, I put research in practice. Any presentation, like or most of the presentations that you will deliver, you will learn like what is the secret of delivering a successful presentation, and why it is even important to deliver like successful presentation, and why this oral communication are important. Okay, so I will start with my mock presentation. Get your stopwatch ready, because one of the criterion for evaluating me, like for this formal assessment, is the time. So this is a 15-minute presentation. So, and when you say I will deliver a 15-minute presentation, this is the promise that you make to your audience. So you should keep your promise. If you went above 15 minutes, this is a sign of disrespect for your audience time. Okay? If you promise to deliver a 15-minute presentation and you only deliver like a 10-minute or 9-minute presentation, this is also not like it's the best practice. Like if you promise to deliver a 15-minute presentation, it should be actually less than 15 minutes. So if you deliver like a 14-minute or 14-minute and a half, that's okay. Yeah, but not 13, not 12. Yeah, just keep your promise. Yeah, that's the promise that you are making to your audiences. Yeah. So get your stopwatch ready. This is what I'm doing, and three, two, one. Now I will start my mock presentation. Uh, Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here in the presentation about improving soil respiration modeling, where we will learn about the modeling the dry wet dynamics of microbial soil respiration pulse. Oh my God, what does this mean? Well, let's break it into pieces and see what does this mean. So I want you to look at this image here on the top, and what the impression that you might get that this is a dead land. But if you start to looking closer and start looking at detail, you might not that might not really be a totally dead land, because you see there are some plants here. Yeah, so there are some plants here. And what do plant do? So plant they do one important thing is photosynthesis. So they take like CO2 and produce oxygen. That's during the day. But what do they do during the night? They do respiration. Yeah. Uh, Respiration. What does respiration mean? Respiration means that they take oxygen and produce CO2. But if you look even closer, in this soil is not dead. This soil has microorganisms. So, and these microorganisms, they also do respiration as a plant. So these two things, like the plant respiration and the microorganism respiration, these two terms, like these two things are called like soil respiration. Yeah. Microbial soil respiration is just the microorganism, and the plant respiration, if you add it to it, that's called like soil respiration. But what is soil respiration pulse? What is this pulse? Well, to understand this, let's look at the second image. This second image is the exact same place. So this is the Atacama Desert in Chile, and after like an episodic rainfall event, this dead land became alive, became a garden. And when at this moment where this land is resurrected from death, when it's like this dead land become alive, we observe something. It's called like the Persh effect. What is this Persh effect? Let me show you. So this is like the time, and this is CO2. Like CO2 measure how your plant is doing respiration. So see, during dry period, so I'm showing this here, like during this dry period, there are some microbes and there are some plants that are doing some little respiration. Once it start uh, raining, when this land became resurrected from dead and become alive, guess what will happen? You will get this peak soil respiration. Yeah. And then after this peak, while this is still alive, it will go down and up, 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 until it become dry again, and you reach to like something that looks like this. But now here, this peak, like this initial first peak, there's a name for it. Like this is called like the Persh effect. That's the name of this peak. It's called like the Persh effect. Now, in this research, we try to answer like two questions actually. What are the mechanism of this Persh effect? Like why when the land become resurrected from death, why do the microbe like have this big peak and then it goes down until it become dry again? What are the mechanism for this? That's the first question. The second question is, can we model this? Like, can we have a model that will simulate like this dry period and then simulate like this Persh effect and then simulate like this wet period and then simulate this dry period again? Can we have a model to do this? And the answer is yes. But I know some of you might now be thinking like, I mean, why do you care about these things? I mean, why do you want to model the respiration of like this plant and this microorganism? I mean, why this is important on God's earth? Like, why are you doing this? Do you have a plenty of free time just to model these things, or are you doing this for fun or for what purpose? Well, let me show you why this is important and why we are doing this. So this is the short-term carbon cycle. This is all the human emission from CO2, carbon dioxide. What is CO2? CO2, this is the main greenhouse gas that is driving climate change. All human emission of CO2 is how much? 10 gigaton of carbon per year. Now, if we look at the CO2 that is being released by the soil, this microorganism of the soil, 60 gigaton of carbon, and by plant root, 60 gigaton of carbon. So this soil respiration is like 120 gigaton of carbon per year. That's like more than 10 times of CO2 emission. Okay, good. But so what? Like, why this is important? Yeah. Well, this is very important because how do we study climate change and how do we project climate change? So, for example, if I want to study the impact of climate change on changing like precipitation pattern and sea level rise in Florida, which is important, this is the central point of all the resiliency questions that we have. How do we do this? We do this using Earth system model, like this climate model. And if we can represent like different part of these Earth component of these Earth processes, we can better represent them. We have more realistic and more accurate representation of these processes, then we will have more accurate prediction from our Earth system models, and we will like reduce the uncertainty of these Earth system models. So basically, this is not applied research. This is an example of like a basic research. So you are trying to improve our modeling of these soil respiration. Like we are trying to better understand the soil respiration, so we can better improve the representation in these Earth system model, so we can have more accurate and less uncertain Earth system models. And then the decisions that we will make based on prediction from this model will be less uncertain. So let me look at this modeling process. Like, how can we like model this, or can we model this? So this data, this is an actual data. It was collected from Arizona, from something called like Near Biosphere 2. University of Arizona. And what you see here, this is soil moisture. So here is this rainfall. So when you have some rainfall, then the soil moisture will increase. Some rainfall here, some rainfall here, the soil moisture will increase. And then like this episodic rainfall, you see the soil moisture will increase and then will go down again. Now, this soil moisture, so basically this is a dry period, this is like wet period, and this is like another dry period, yeah, or here's some wet period. Now this is the, what we see here, this is the CO2 that we are observing, like the soil respiration, yeah. And you see here during dry period, this is like the dead time when they are all are sleeping, so it is like low soil activity. This is the blue color, yeah. And then when it starts raining, oops, that's when they wake up and you get this spike here. And then you get more of this is spike here. Remember, I told you go up and down, up and down, up and down. So, and then you have some soil respiration here, some spikes here. That's because of these like rainfall. But can we model this? So we use the model of Allison. This is one of the seminal microbial soil respiration models. It was published by Allison in 2010 in Nature Geoscience. And this model actually is doing very good. So the model simulation is this green line. So you see the model is doing very good here. It can reproduce our soil respiration, okay? But it cannot capture this guy. It cannot capture this guy. Then during the wet period, it start to pick up, like in the wet period, and then during the dry period, it start to wake up. So it can do the wet dry period good. It can do the wet period to some extent, but it cannot capture this peak. It cannot capture this peak. It cannot capture this peak. So what is missing from this model? That it cannot simulate this Perch effect and cannot capture this peak. That's exactly what our research is trying to answer. So this model have 4 components. So this is the food that is available for this microorganism. This enzyme is what breaks, this is called soil organic carbon, solid, solid organic carbon. This is dissolved organic carbon, and this is enzyme, and this is the microbe. So this is called like a 4C model that has this 4 component. It has food for this microorganism. It has enzymes that will break this solid organic carbon to produce food for the microorganism, and it has the microorganisms themselves. So our primary hypothesis is that this guy should be like 2 of them. Instead of having like a 4C, we should have a 5C. Why? Because during dry period, this enzyme and also produce some food. So there are food that is produced in the dry soil zone, just as there are foods that is produced in the wet soil zone. So this need to be like, instead of 1 compartment, it needs to be like 2 compartment. Yeah. Similarly, so that will make the 5C model. Our secondary mechanism is that like same for the enzyme, like you should have like a dry enzyme and wet enzyme. So that's our secondary mechanism. But what is the main thing that is missing from this model of Allison model is that it does not account for soil moisture. It decouples the hydrologic model from the soil respiration model. The biogeoscience model, that soil respiration model, is decoupled from a hydrology model, which will give you the soil moisture. So basically, you need to account for this soil moisture. Why? Because this soil moisture controls the rate of producing the food, but also the rate of the food being consumed. Yeah. So these are our these are the 3 premises of our hypothesis. So how can we test these 3 premises? Well, just test them one by one. So here, this is a base model that does have nothing of our hypothesis. Yeah. Now let's start for this is the 4C model. Let's start to add soil moisture control. When we added soil moisture control, it improved a little bit. We started to get something here, but we are not capturing this. Now let's add our main mechanism to it. When we added our main mechanism without soil moisture control, it definitely improved here. So you see, I can capture these guys. So I have some improvement here, but I'm not getting it. Now let's add the soil moisture control and our main mechanism. Okay, now I am getting it. Now I am capturing this one. Now I am capturing this one. I'm capturing this too. Now let's add the secondary mechanism. So if we added the secondary mechanism, which is like the dry and the wet enzyme also. Oh, now we are getting a perfect fit. Not a perfect fit, but an excellent fit. I'm capturing the dry period excellently. I'm capturing even this small peaks here. I'm capturing this peak. I'm capturing everything. I'm capturing this two peak. I'm capturing this peak. But someone might argue and tell me, you know what? You are able to capture all this because you have more complex model with more parameter. We can test this. Can we test this? Yes, we can test this. How can we test this? There are statistical methods that will penalize your model if it is more complex and will reward your model if it can capture like what you observe in the field. So this model cannot capture what we observe in the field. This model cannot capture what we observe in the field. This model cannot capture what we observe in the field. This model perfectly capture what we observe in the field. This is called like Bayesian model evidence, and so let's calculate the Bayesian model evidence. If I got a higher evidence, this would mean that this model is this is that this model is not like this is not just an artifact due to increasing the number of model parameters. So let's calculate our model evidence. So here I got like negative 5,000, negative 4,000 something, negative 3,000 something, see negative 1,000, and here negative 700. So this is definitely not an artifact due to like increasing the number of model parameter, and this will provide evidence for our hypothesis, for our main mechanism, for our secondary mechanism, and for our soil moisture control. So in conclusion, modeling this dry wet dynamic improves the soil microbial soil respiration model. So what? So if we have a better soil respiration model, we will have a better earth system model, we will have better prediction for more accurate and less uncertain prediction for climate change. So that is one of the main message of this work. Another main message is that soil moisture control is important. You should like couple soil like the soil respiration model with a hydrology model that simulate the soil moisture content, and that will give you the best result. And now earth system model, actually they have this where soil respiration is coupled to hydrology, and that is a new advancement that is already being implemented in earth system model. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm ready to take your question. Thank you. So okay, so let's get back. My stopwatch says that I'm less than 15 minutes. I don't know what your stopwatch say, but that's what my stopwatch say. So in terms of time, I think you should give me the full mark. But anyway, let's not do the assessment now. Like before we do the assessment, I want just to get your impression about this presentation. Like I want you basically like to do this survey, to go to this survey and answer this three questions. Like the speaker kept me engaged during the presentation. The speaker communicated his message clearly to me. This was a successful presentation. So I want you to answer this three questions before we continue our discussion because I need these answers for this discussion. Yeah. So I want you to answer this question. After you submit your survey, make sure not to so that's like this is a survey that you will fill after you submit like your survey. So this is the first question, this is the second question, and this is the third question. Make sure to save your submission screen because you will update this to Canvas to get credit, to get the participation credit. So make sure. But now let's so do this and pause the video, do this, and I'll wait for you until you're back. Okay, so welcome back. So now this is like a pre-recorded video, so I will just look at the submission of the previous student. So this based on two cohorts that I had before, like one class has 5 students and other class has 6 students. And let's see what is their impression about like this. Like, do did the speaker communicate the message clearly to you? And like you see, 8 students said clear, and 3 students said super clear. Okay. Now, let's see the second question. Did the speaker kept you engaged during the presentation? Uh, 80 students said mostly yes. Uh, one student said somehow, so I lost about one student. And 2 students said, oh, that was inspiring. Okay. Uh, Now, let's look at the third question. Was this presentation successful? Well, uh, 9 students said, of course, and 2 students said mostly yes. Okay. So this is like so this is the evidence that I have that this was like a successful presentation. But let me show you what I did to you. What I did to you, I did to you something very nasty, but you probably didn't realize it because I mean, based on this evidence, like the student didn't realize that I did something nasty to them. Why I did something nasty to them? Uh, because I presented to you something that you are totally not familiar with. That's the first thing. Second thing, I presented to you something that you are totally not interested in, and you most probably not going to be interested in. So that is the second nasty thing I did. But what is the third nasty thing I did? The third, I mean, or the third thing that I did. What I presented to you, this is something very technical. I presented something very technical with complex, with tiny little complex, tiny little like technical detail. I mean, the work that I presented to you, this is the title of this paper when we published it. I mean, this is the name of the journal, even it has like this complicated name, Geophysical Research Letters. So even the journal name is complicated. And if you read the title of this work that I just presented, assessing 5 evolving microbial enzyme models against field measurement from semi-arid savanna. What are the mechanism of soil respiration pulse? So I presented something very technical to you. But despite these 3 challenges, something you don't know about, something you're not interested in, and something that's very complex, to some extent, I was able to deliver a successful presentation. So how did I do this? Before I tell you how did I do this, I want you to do like a second exercise, which is I want you to do like a formal, like let's say you are at AGU. AGU, this is the second largest conference, I guess, in the USA. It's called American Geophysical Union. It's attended by anywhere from more than 20 to 30,000 persons from more than 100 countries. And let's say you apply to become like a judge, like to judge a student posters and presentations. And then they give you a form to fill out. So I want you to be able to also do this. Yeah. So I want you to judge my presentation and evaluate me and give me a grade. So like you will go here, you will download the file here. So you go here, you open the presentation rubric, and then I want you to grade me basically like to grade my presentation. And that's the same form that will be used for your final presentation. So that will also give you a chance to practice. Yeah. So here the grading is simple, like clarity, like was this clear? So you basically give me a score and give me a comment, like why did you select this score? The organization of the presentation, you give me a score and then you give me a comment. Why did you select this score? Depth of the content, you give me a score and then why you comment why on this score. And then the presentation skill, uh, in this presentation I was maybe a little bit nervous. I didn't repeat it, I didn't re-recorded it. I was not maybe very well prepared. I didn't repeat it, I didn't re-record it because uh, I want to like I want you to pick up these things and be able to penalize like uh, if the presenter was little bit nervous or something like this. Maybe he will lose a little bit some points. I mean, in your presentation, I don't really care about this very much. Yeah. And then overall presentation quality. Yeah. And then here you provide like a qualitative feedback. So I want you to do this, and your grade will basically be based on your grade for this assignment, and will be based on like the completeness of the forms that you'll fill out. But anyway, so this is one thing I want you to do, because this is an important practice, help you to practice for your final presentation. Okay. But let me get back to this question. Like, what did I do? What did I do in order to make keep you engaged, yeah, and not to lose you while I'm presenting something you don't know, you're not interested in, and very technical. So that's what we will be learning in this module. So this module is basically, it has like the next video, I will be showing some audience-centric techniques that I use in this presentation. Like one's called like snorkeling statements, the other called assertion evidence. So we will learn this. And then another thing is the slide design. I will talk a little bit also about the slide design. So that would be the second video, that's the third video. In this video, I will just give you what is generally like the secret recipe of a successful like research presentation, or just a successful presentation and all. That's what I will do in the remaining of this video. But let me just talk about research presentation, because that's what like this is like research method. So the problem of research presentation, if you have noticed, that they are boring and they are typically not effective. Why they are typically not effective? Because presenter will focus on like the data or the method he used. He will show, okay, this model is make of this and this and that, and these are the equation and so on and so forth. Like for example, one person like in the seminar, for example, was presenting something about like modeling, and he was talking about one this mathematical transformation like Laplace transform, or like Fourier transform, like one of this imaginary mathematical space. So he started the presentation telling us what he wants to do, and then he went to this imaginary mathematical space for like half an hour or whatever, and no one knows what this guy is talking about. And then guess what? Like the audience, they will be looking at their watch, they will be looking at the ceilings, they will be stretching, they will be shaking the leg, they will be rolling their eyes because they are not engaged. Yeah. And then at the end of the presentation, he came back, told us what he did, and the presentation ended. Boring, ineffective, and the audience didn't understand anything, basically. Yeah. Uh, uh, so that is also like another problem of like of these research talks. So and typically to solve this problem, this is what I did in this presentation, is that I was always telling you why you should be interested, why this is important. I was always giving you meanings, and that is what the audience wants. The audience does not want that you list facts. The audience want meaning, and that's what I try to do. Okay. Uh, Now, uh, giving this like the question is like, how can you deliver an engaging research presentation, or an engaging presentation in general? Okay, before we do this, like before we answer this question, that's what we will be answering like in this module. But before we answer this question, uh, let's just try. Let me ask you another question. Like, what is the purpose of the presentation? Like, why do you do a presentation? Like, what do you want from that? Yeah, what's the purpose of the presentation? So any presentation, actually, it has two purposes. The first purpose is obviously that you communicate your ideas. Yeah, you have some ideas and you want to effectively communicate these ideas to your audience. That's the most obvious purpose. But what is the second purpose? Well, the second purpose is that you need to engage your audience. That's the second purpose of your presentation. You don't want to lose your audience. So these are actually the two purposes of the presentation. Yeah. It's like a movie. Yeah. You're watching a movie, So the movie has a message that it wants to deliver to you, but the movie also, to be successful, it must engage you. So there are like an engaging movie, you get engaged with the movie, or there is a movie that is not a good movie. You say, oh, this is not a good movie. Why? Because you were not engaged, or because it does not have a good message. That's the only two things: message and engagement. And that's the purpose of any presentation. So when you deliver any presentations, that's what you think of. What is the message that I want to deliver? And are my audience, how could I keep my audience engaged? Yeah. So message and audience engaged. That is the message effectively, and audience engaged. That's the purpose of any presentation. Simple. Yeah. Okay. So now let me tell you about like the secret, or like secret recipe of a successful presentation. So successful presentation, it has like three main recipes, three main ingredients. It must be understandable. So successful presentation are like free of jargons. I presented, and I showed you an example. I presented something very technical, but it was almost jargon free, free of buzzword, free of complexity, and free of confusion. So the most important thing is understandable. Understandable. Like that what the audience want to understand. Like if you attend a class and you understand something, you feel good about it. If you attend a class and you didn't understand much, you don't feel good about it. So it's a good, successful presentation. They should be understandable. But not only understandable, they should also, in addition to being understandable, they should be memorable. You should like if you deliver like a great presentation, but the audience don't wouldn't remember anything from it, then it really doesn't matter. And I like the great presentations that I have seen in my life, I still remember them. Like, for example, I still remember some conference presentations that I attended that were great presentation. And I still remember things from these presentation, and I use these things in my teaching, like presentation about climate change and impact of climate change on rainfall. I use this in my teaching because I still remember them. And that means that this presentation matter. This means that this audience was able to deliver his message to us clearly, that we were convinced of this message and we started to use this in our work. Yeah. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that it should be emotional. And emotional, that's the third thing. It should be like it should be emotional, and to be emotional you need to tell a story. Like in these presentations that I give now, was it emotional? I don't know. It was not emotional. I tried to make it a little bit emotional by using terms like the land is alive, the land will be resurrected. I tried to steer some emotion, but that's fine. If you are presenting something very technical and very dry, you still can make it emotional through like storytelling. And uh, and by making it emotional, like through like storytelling, that is how you move people to action, by making them emotional, by getting them emotional. That's how you could move people to action. So let me show you an example, and I think that would be one of the last thing before I end up my presentation. Let's say I am presenting something about like a climate change impact on rainfall pattern in the southeast, east and horn of Africa. So I could start my presentation by just like saying, okay, these are the climate models. This is the base scenario. This is the high emission scenario. This is the low emission scenario. Now, this is the rainfall that we have now. And but in the future, and with this rainfall, that is very low amount of rainfall, which caused desertification. But in the future, we will have more desertification and the land will become more arid. And then I will show a graph like how now like rainfall is small under this climate scenario. It will be even less under high emission scenario. It will be even much less. So I could give such a technical presentation. But to engage my audience and to make my audience be appreciate like all this climate analysis that I'm doing, maybe I should start my presentation by telling them like why this is important, like why do we want to change, like changing precipitation pattern and increase like aridity, and the increase in aridity with climate change. So you can start by a slide like this, that you will say that like this climate in certain part of the world is causing drought. This part of the world could be already in arid condition, and this now and in the future that is even going to get worse, and this will not uh, this will affect like all the ecosystems. This will affect, for example, like terrestrial ecosystem and animal habitats, which will lead to animal like migration or death. But this also could lead to human migration, and this human migration could cause conflicts. For example, like you can mention, for example, like the Darfur conflict. The Darfur conflict is what? Like you have this aridity. Those people were mainly like their livelihood depend on grazing, like grazing cattle, sheep, and things like this. And when their land became arid, what did they do? They moved to other parts where people, their livelihood depend on farming. They were not like uh, they are not grazing people, they are farming people. Now they see another group of people coming to them, they will think, oh, they want to invade us, they want to invade our lands, they want to step on our toes, and a conflict appears. Yeah. So you can give this example, or you can give example about like how east, like east, southeast and Horn of Africa, like this aridity is causing migration, and in the future that would cause more migration and more conflict. Now, if you did this, when you start to talk, show like aridity, current aridity with baseline scenario, people will be interested and will understand what does this number mean. Now, you show them in the future, this will be decreased double, like this aridity will be even more, then they will become more interested or more engaged. Then we will tell them now, if we kept doing business as usual, like emitting all this carbon to the atmosphere, that will even make it worse. Then that will can make them take an action. Like, so if I'm driving a gasoline car and I can afford an electric car, I will go get an electric car, for example. Yeah. Or any form of action that they might be willing to take. Yeah. Something like this. But anyway, so let me just like end here. Uh, uh, Let me just like end here this video. So in this module, what we will learn? In this module, what we will learn is like how to narrow the gap between your information and your audience. How to narrow this gap. So basically, we will learn like I will teach you like new tools and idea that will help you to deliver your presentation differently than what you have done previously. And one is my student, after watching this video, she told me I had to present something to like a high executive in my company, and I use these techniques that you told us that you will learn like in the next two video, and that deliver like wonderful presentation, and made it left a very good impact. So you will learn about like these tools. Yeah. Uh, you will also learn like, so that is in the next video. In the third video, you will see like tips about content selection and slide design, like how you could select your content, like what content to put in your presentation and how to design your slide. Uh, and hopefully, I want you to appreciate that like good presentation, delivering a good presentation that could benefit you, that could benefit collaboration. Like you are at a conference, you made a good presentation, people understood what you do, and then guess what? They will contact you. It happened to me. I was contacted even by very high profile researcher after my presentation because they were engaged, they were able to understand, and they will ask me questions, they will ask me to share the presentation with them, they will ask me to share some figure and ask me question about my presentation. Yeah. Funding, it could improve like we had like one proposal, EPA proposal, $2 million. We were asking for this large amount of money. Our proposal was recommended to be funded by the reviewer. It was recommended based on our budget, and before they gave us their final approval, they told us, could you present your work? Now, if we have a good presentation technique, we will be able to convince them of our work, and then we will get like this award. Yeah. And then finally for your job, and I just mentioned to you like like one of the students who took this course, she applied these slide design techniques and like this audience centric technique, and that helped her to deliver an effective presentation for her audience. These techniques, by the way, are not used in these slides because these slides are designed differently. These designs are designed for a different purpose. So these slides are designed where, like, see, they have a lot of text. Like one of these, like, design techniques is that your slide shouldn't have text. Yeah. But this slide have text for a different purpose because I want this to be like a reference for you to use it later on. That's one thing. The second thing is that this slide, this is for teaching. Teaching is usually slow. I don't go fast. I spend my time where go over every little detail versus in a research talk or you're giving a presentation to executive in your company, they don't have time. You only would be giving like 5 to 10 minutes at most, yeah, or 15 minutes. So you need to like have like messages, like clear messages that are effectively communicated. Yeah, not like here where I talk and repeat and talk. I mean, that's not like a research talk at a conference or for at your work for the executive. Okay, so um, so that's the next video would be like the audience centric technique. We will learn two audience centric technique, or even what's audience centric, and then we learn two audience centric. Okay, so that's all.